It has finally been done. Since Portal's release in 2007, speedrunners have collectively spent hundreds of thousands of hours trying to beat the game's chambers as fast as possible. But over a decade later, we've finally gone as low as we can possibly go. Because today, I can say to you with full confidence that Portal's Chamber 14 speedrun is perfect. But how do we know that for sure? And how exactly did we get here? To explain that, we're gonna have to go back, all the way back to the start of Portal speedrunning. Believe it or not, speedrunning is a part of most casual Portal playthroughs, as if you want to get all of the achievements, you're gonna have to get the gold speedrun medals in the challenge maps. The challenge maps are post-game content where the game challenges you to beat the dual portal gun chambers under certain conditions, such as least portals, steps, and time. Of the 6 chambers you could choose from, the most popular speedrun level by far was Chamber 14, but it's not really clear why when you first look at the level. It starts by exiting the elevator and being taunted by the ending just out of reach by a vertical platform. After that, you have quite a long room. One side of the room has a button that opens a door, and the other side of the room has a pit that turns into a staircase as you approach it. After ascending upwards, you're greeted with an orb catcher that will lower the vertical platform, and a cube raised above the ground. After using portals to fling onto the cube platform and putting the cube on the button, you can travel through the door. Here, the player has a small platforming challenge with oscillating platforms, which will lead you to a small room with an orb launcher. After using portals to connect the orb launcher to the orb catcher, the vertical platform at the start of the chamber will lower, allowing the player to ride it up to the ending elevator and finish the chamber. This pretty simple level is made a bit more difficult for our achievement hunters when you figure out that the gold medal for this chamber's challenge map is an astonishing 10-second finish, making it the shortest gold medal in the game. And while that might seem impossible at first, there's a surprisingly simple solution to the chamber that skips just about everything, and I'll let a Portal developer explain it to you.
A few playtesters put a portal on the floor here, and used the rising stair pit to skip the rest of the puzzle. We'll usually rework a level if playtesters discover a way to bypass chunks of the puzzle too easily. But in this and a few other cases where skipping ahead arguably takes more skill than solving the puzzle properly, we let the ninja solution stand.
With this so-called ninja solution, you could beat the chamber in just a handful of seconds. And because the speedrun strat was so simple, Chamber 14 was by far the most popular speedrun chamber in the game's early days. And within the year, it seemed that speedrunners had already achieved the fastest possible time for the chamber, finishing it in only 3 seconds. Speedrunner Nubsawas was the first player to achieve this time, but it would quickly be matched by a ton of other runners. Since the challenge map's timer was only precise to the full second, it was very easy to get tied times, especially for a level as short as Chamber 14. After 5 years of ties at the 3-second mark, runners started to theorize if a 2-second speedrun was possible. But it seemed unlikely, as even the fastest 3-second runs were closer to 3.5 seconds, so you would have to find a way to save half of a second. However, one runner was up to the challenge. Imanex, who achieved a 3-second time in January of 2011, took a new look at Chamber 14 about 2 years later. Somehow, Imanex found a route improvement for this extremely simple speedrun route by using a trick called the reportal. The reportal is a portal mechanic where if a new portal is placed while you're standing in a portal, you get a small push outward. You can abuse this push and shoot a portal while going through a portal to get an extra boost of speed, or in the case of going through a floor portal, extra height. In Chamber 14, you can get just barely enough height to land on the ending platform with a reportal. And when I say barely, I mean it. If you jump from the floor of the chamber, or even from the step of the elevator, you won't make it onto the platform. Only a jump from the elevator itself will give you enough height to land at the finish. This strat would save the time spent falling from the ceiling and would also have slightly less airtime, resulting in around 0.6 seconds of time save. With a near-perfect run, Imanex was able to use this reportal strat and get a 2-second time, breaking a very large world record tie and setting what seemed like an unbeatable time. But of course, this was just the start of Chamber 14's history. Around 2015, speedrunners would switch over from the challenge maps to speedrunning the normal maps instead. Times were now determined by the total number of ticks in a demo file, so now we could have times down to the third decimal place, instead of to the full second. But since we were not playing on the challenge maps anymore, time would end not when entering the ending elevator, but instead on when you hit the ending loading screen, so times would be significantly longer. Additionally, on the normal map for Chamber 14, the starting elevator is bugged, and you can just walk right through the doors before they open, making the fastest chamber in the game even faster. On the speedrun.com leaderboards, these individual level runs were separated into out-of-bounds and inbounds categories. And funnily enough, Chamber 14 was the only chamber in the game where the inbounds route was actually faster than the out-of-bounds route. Inbounds runs with the reportal route were able to finish the chamber just under the 18-second mark, like the 17.895 run by Finzi, but out-of-bounds runs were a couple tenths of a second slower. And the out-of-bounds route looked nothing like the inbounds route. Instead of a reportal, it would use a glitch called the edge glitch. The edge glitch is a glitch that lets your camera go through the edge of a portal, and if set up right, it can actually put the player's camera out of bounds, such that you can land a portal on an out-of-bounds wall. With this out-of-bounds portal, you can portal peek to get a portal underneath the ending elevator, and then perform a PQR to get back in bounds. PQR is short for Portal Quick Re-Entry, and it allows you to get back inbounds from an out-of-bounds portal. To perform it, you need to reshoot your out-of-bounds portal while traveling through it, kind of like a reportal, just with the opposite portal order. Once underneath the ending elevator, you can just jump and hit a trigger that closes the elevator door and starts the elevator ascent, allowing you to finish the level in the elevator shaft. And all of this resulted in a final time slightly slower than the simpler inbounds route. It wasn't until 2016 where a runner named Nano really pushed the execution of this out-of-bounds route to its limit, in order to get a time faster than the reportal route, getting a time of 17.685. This run fires all of these portals as fast as possible, and takes advantage of the fact that the OOB route has much less movement than the inbounds route. But after years and years of runners improving their movement, the inbounds route would catch up. Specifically, 3 years later in 2019, a runner named Protal would get a 17.535 time. So the inbounds run was once again faster than the out-of-bounds run. The main improvement was including extra strafing in the ABHs on the ending platform to get more speed and therefore get into the ending elevator faster. And while there were some small execution improvements over the years for this reportal route, it wasn't until 2021 where a massive breakthrough would occur, as a faster route for the chamber was finally found. That was a 17.13 Chamber 14 speedrun by Evan Lin. Instead of using a reportal or an edge glitch, this run uses a seam shot. A seam shot is an out-of-bounds shot through the corner of a wall that is made possible due to some faulty collision in Source Engine corner calculation. Evan Lin shoots through a seam in the wall right below the ending platform to land a portal underneath the ending fizzler out of bounds. By traveling through the portal, the player hits the fizzler while out of bounds, which gets rid of the out-of-bounds portals, and clips the player back inbounds, kind of like a PQR. Then, all it takes is a quick jump into the ending elevator to finish the chamber. This route was fast, and it was quite simple. All it took was a lineup for the precise seam shot, and the level practically beats itself. However, this route was only a stepping stone towards true perfection, as while runners were excitingly grinding away, trying to get the fastest possible time with the new strat, the very next day, Evan Lin once again improved the Chamber 14 speedrun route. This new 16.185 does a similar seam shot, but aims it slightly lower. So instead of placing a portal underneath the fizzler, the portal is placed underneath the ending elevator. Doing this allows the player to activate the elevator right after PQRing back inbounds, so it skips the jump into the elevator. And it only took 4 hours for speedrunners to execute this route perfectly, as Sidious was the first runner to complete Chamber 14 in 15 seconds and 915 milliseconds. Given everything we currently know about Portal, this is a perfect speedrun. But why exactly is the speedrun unbeatable? There are 4 main inputs we should look at: the seam shot, the portal on the floor, the PQR, and the jump to activate the ending elevator. The 3 portal shots are shot as fast as possible. The portal gun has a limited firing rate, and you can see this pretty easily by just holding down the mouse button and watching the portal gun fire. In the 15.915 run, the speed at which you shoot these portals are all capped by the portal gun's firing rate, so there's no way to save time here. And lastly, the jump underneath the elevator. To get the 15.915 time, you have to jump on the first possible tick of being inbounds. It happens so fast that at first glance, you might not even see a jump input. So of the 4 crucial inputs in the speedrun, 3 of them are limited by the game itself, and the remaining input is done quite literally as soon as possible. But maybe, just maybe, there's some lapse in execution that we're missing here. Some human element that can cut off milliseconds, right? Well, you wouldn't be the first one to think this, as over 50 other runners have all tried to best this 15.915 time, and all of them have come up completely equal, resulting in a 55-way tie for the Chamber 14 world record. But even then, the word perfect is pretty dramatic, and usually, claims like these have always aged poorly in the world of speedrunning. So let's take a look at what would need to happen in order for this time to be beaten. The closest theory is to activate the elevator slightly faster by crouching and jumping at the same time, which usually gives you more height. But here, it doesn't actually result in the elevator activating earlier, so it doesn't save time. As I mentioned previously, we're limited by the portal gun's firing rate. If there was a glitch that could increase the fire rate of the gun, you could beat the chamber ever so slightly faster. But at no point in the game does the fire rate of the gun ever change. It's a hard-coded constant, so it's unlikely we'll find a glitch to change it. But maybe there's a faster route for the chamber. This route uses 3 portals and puts us right underneath the elevator. But what if we shot less portals? As there are some 2-portal solutions to Chamber 14. However, all of them are significantly slower. The previously mentioned seam shot underneath the Fizzler strat is only 2 portals. But because of the small movement involved, it ends up being slower. If there was a 2-portal strat that put us underneath the elevator, then maybe this time could be beaten. But that would involve some portalless PQR glitch that's pretty unlikely to be discovered given everything we know about the source engine. And lastly is skipping the elevator ride. For every chamber in Portal, to finish the level, you have to activate the ending elevator and then wait around 13 seconds for the elevator to ascend. If there was any glitch to speed up or skip the elevator rising, you could save a massive amount of time. In fact, the Chamber 10 speedrun is actually faster than the Chamber 14 speedrun for this reason. In that level, there's a debug trigger in the back of the elevator shaft that instantly loads the next level without activating the elevator. However, this is just a 1-level exception, and it's a total mystery why this debug trigger is in the game. This strat is not applicable to any other level other than Chamber 10. Other than that, we really have no leads on a way to alter or skip the elevator, and a glitch of this nature would do more than just beat a perfect individual level speedrun, but significantly lower the main Portal any % run, as there are unskippable elevators in 14 different chambers. So an elevator skip discovery could easily cut the 6-minute speedrun in half. So unless we find something close to the holy grail of Portal speedrunning, I think it's safe to say that Portal's Chamber 14 speedrun is unbeatable. The first perfect Chamber 14 speedrun was done on July 23, 2021. While it is impressive that we managed to achieve perfection, the chamber is now viewed as something similar to a meme speedrun, because it is so easy to tie the world record run. And don't just take my word for it, try out the run yourself. I've linked a tutorial down below made by yours truly that will help transform you from a casual Portal player to a Chamber 14 speedrun world record holder. Who knows? Maybe one of you will find some absurd way to save a sliver of time. Although I highly doubt it. No, actually, that would be impossible. Because Chamber 14 is Portal's perfect speedrun. Thanks for watching.